Next, in this series where I talk about each skin type individually, we are going to dive into the world of combination skin types. Hey guys, my name is Bahar and I'm excited about sharing my knowledge and personal experiences about skincare with you. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you too can join our community. Combination skin types is probably the most common and at the same time the most difficult skin type to work with. Why? Because when you have dry skin, you know that you have dry skin, you know how to deal with it. When you have oily skin, you know how to deal with that. But when you have combination skin, it means that you both have oily skin and dry skin, or probably even normal skin, on your face. So you have to deal with multiple skin types at the same time. In my experience, I have seen both combination oily skin types, which is me, and combination dry skin types. What do I mean by that? When I say combination oily, it means that some parts of their face, especially their T-zone and maybe even their chin, for example, me, is oilier than the rest of their face. Me, personally, my cheeks are pretty normal. They're not dry, they're not oily. But when it comes to combination dry skin, their T-zone could be normal, but their cheeks can be dry. So again, this makes it kind of hard because when you want to treat the oily parts of your face, you might dry out the normal parts, or when you want to moisturize the dry parts of your face, you might cause acne to the rest of your face. Not fun. Another thing that makes having combination skin a pain in the backside is that it can constantly change. In the summer, you are a combination oily, but in the winter, you are a combination dry skin type, which, well, it is quite hard to deal with all of these changes, but even though it seemed very helpless, but it is not impossible. When it comes to buying products for this type of skin, you really need to see what type of mood your skin is in. Am I more on the oily side? Am I more on the dry side? And based on that, you need to choose what types of products you want to use for the mood that your skin decided to be in that day. When it comes to lifestyle, it really depends on which part of the spectrum your skin is leaning more towards. If you are more oily, then you have to do things for your oily skin. If you are leaning more towards dry, then you need to do more things for those dry parts. I have made 2 separate videos about both oily skin types and dry skin types. I will link them down below so you can check them out. But when it comes to skincare, that is a completely different story. Going back to the 4 basics of skincare, I will link the video down below if you haven't watched it yet. Starting with cleanser. When it comes to cleanser, again, you really need to see what type of mood your skin is in that day, but a cleanser that I can recommend for you not to get is a cleanser that has an active in it. For example, a cleanser that has salicylic acid in it. Why? Because even if you are dealing with acne and oily skin at that time in some parts of your face, you are going to be drying out the rest of your face that is more towards normal or even dry at that time. So leave the actives in your treatment part and do not wash your face more than once a day, because again, even if some parts of your face are more oily than the others, you are going to dry out those other parts of your face that aren't that oily. Next is moisturizer. Again, you are going to need 2 different moisturizers, one for the day that is lighter and one for the night, which is a little bit heavier on the skin, but not that heavy. Again, it really depends on what your mood is, what your skin's mood is in that day. And if you are leaning more towards the oiliness, then go for more gel-like consistency moisturizers. But if your skin is more towards the dryness, then you have to go for a little bit heavier, maybe a little bit creamier products. But if your skin is both oily and dry at the same time, that is where disaster is going to strike. Why? Because, well, you can't use a gel moisturizer on the dry parts and you can't use a heavy cream on the oily parts. Something that I do when this happens to me, it doesn't happen that often, but again, it does happen sometimes, is I use the cream products on my cheeks where I experience more dryness, and I use the gel one on my T-zone and chin where I experience more oiliness. Yes, this does require more work and more products, but what can you do? Next, treatment. Now, this is a step where you can control your oil production or your dryness a little bit more, but you still need to be cautious of the products that you are using, especially if the products are more for oily skin types. For example, I do use niacinamide, but I use it on my forehead, my nose, and on my chin because these are the parts of my face where I experience more oil production. But I don't use them on my cheeks because my cheeks are, well, normal, and if I use them on my cheeks, well, it might cause more dryness rather than helping my skin improve. So you need to be very cautious of the products that you are using. I'm not saying don't use oil control products or don't use exfoliants or any other actives. Just be a little bit more cautious of the way that you are using them so you don't dry out other parts of your face which are not oily. Or when it comes to dry skin types, that is a little bit easier because, well, the only treatment that you really need when you have more combination dry skin is hyaluronic acid or any other type of product that is going to hydrate your skin because, well, it's not giving moisture, it's not giving oil, so it won't clog the other parts of your face that are not that dry. But when it comes to oily, that can be a little bit rough. And last, but definitely not least, sunscreen. This is probably going to be the hardest step of your skincare routine because, well, you always have this question, do I want to be matte because I am producing too much oil, or do I want to moisture my skin because I am feeling more dry? And to that, I say, see what mood your skin is in for that day because there's honestly nothing else that you can do. If you are more oily for that day, then you need to go with a product that is more oil control, less oil in it, preferably oil free and even non-chromogenic. But when you are experiencing more dryness, then using that product is only going to worsen this condition that you are experiencing at that moment. So just go with what your skin is wanting from you in that moment because trust me, if you listen to your skin, it will tell you what it needs. This video might seem a little bit discouraging because, well, I talked a lot about see what your skin is in the mood for, and combination skin is very hard to deal with. Yes, it is very hard to deal with, but only in the beginning when you don't know what to do. Each skin is unique to its own. Even if two people are oily skin types at the same time, they are still very different. Their skins might react differently to the same products. They might need different products or different type of treatments in order to get the skin that they are looking for. And trust me, when you get to know your skin, when you listen to it and you see what it needs and get the hang of how to treat your skin, trust me, even combination skin types are going to be a breeze to take care of. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and keep an eye out for my last video of this series, normal skin types.